You have come here to learn, to work, to give and to understand. You have not come here to dream, to fantasize, or to find a way back to your ancient home. You were sent to the world at great expense and effort, but as soon as you realize that you are in the world and that you have come from somewhere else, you devise a scheme for getting out of here. You say, "I want to get out of here." This is difficult. However, your spiritual family wants you to be here. They went to great effort to bring you here. They have already provided a great deal of assistance to enable you to become a functional human being so that you could learn something greater in life. Why try to escape with the work undone? The work will reveal itself as you proceed. You do not need to say, "Well, I will decide what kind of work sounds good to me. I like doing this kind of work. That looks good. That doesn't look too hard or too dangerous or too unpleasant." You will hear much speculation about people's self-defined purposes and callings, but the student of knowledge is wise to avoid these conversations, for they do not represent wisdom. Your deeper experiences can only be shared with certain people in certain ways and at certain times. The vast majority of the time you will have to keep them to yourself, even around other students of knowledge. Do not fritter away something that is sacred and meaningful. Do not reveal something that is growing and germinating within you, or it will lose its vitality and potency in your life. All this talk about spirituality is for self-assurance and to gain recognition, which is also for self-assurance. And what is self-assurance for but to comfort the personal mind? Do not use what is sacred for what is temporary and weak. Let the personal mind learn restraint, discretion, discernment and forbearance. If wisdom is ever to be a reality in your life, you must learn these things. Oh, yes, you will find many people with whom you can have very interesting spiritual conversations. There will be much bragging and much self-proclamation. There will be much comparison and much criticism. Someone will say, "Well, my teacher is very great." Others will say, "Oh, my teacher is very great." Others will say, "I have studied 5 different religions." Others will say, "I have read 500 books." Others will say, "Oh, I know all about this theology." And others will say, "Oh, yes, but this other spiritual path is much better." The student of knowledge is wise to avoid these conversations and, when in the midst of them, to remain silent and observant. Those who know carry the presence with them. And this presence has been able to grow because they have not been indiscreet. They have not tried to use their experience for personal gain. Instead, they have let it grow stronger and more intense within themselves. This gives them a sense of presence. You will not find this in idle dabblers or in people who are like tourists in a spiritual universe. However, you will find this in those who have had to face their own thresholds, who have had to cross their own rivers, and who have had to experience and face their own doubts and fears and the wasteful consequences of their mistakes. These are people who are following something inexplicable that they do not attempt to define or use. Their silence is profound and inviting. They are with the mystery, and the mystery is with them. Through them a greater knowledge, a greater comfort and a greater power can emerge and abide. This is the abiding revelation. Someone who is with the mystery can share the mystery without words, without conversation, without debate and without self-glorification. They are with the mystery, and the mystery is with them. This, then, is what you want to look for. This is the evidence of revelation. The skies parting and the angelic host descending are things for the storybooks and for mythology. Real revelation happens in the innermost part of a person. It is something you can only feel, and you will feel it in the presence of those who are close to the mystery, those who have not squandered their gift but have let it grow, those who have learned to become still, silent and observant, those whose minds are free of the past sufficiently that they do not need to judge and evaluate every new experience and encounter that they are having, those who are strong enough with knowledge that they do not need to use their power or the admission of their weaknesses in order to gain attention or recognition. When you think of revelation, think of this. Do not become romantic and have illusions of grandeur. These things may attract a great deal of attention, but they cannot generate devotion, for only knowledge can generate devotion. These things attract attachment and ambition, but they cannot lead someone to be wholehearted, for to be wholehearted is to be with knowledge. Being without knowledge is being willful, ambitious, cunning, clever, manipulative, shrewd and calculating. Take heed. This is the evidence that knowledge is lacking. Revelation grows slowly. It grows with knowledge because with knowledge there comes an experience and a sense of origin and destiny that the world cannot challenge. It is something that is felt and known. Details are not important. The closer you are to your purpose, the more you will have this experience. The more you are able to gain a relationship with knowledge without abusing this privilege, the more this experience will grow for you. The freer your mind is from past referencing, the more space there will be within you for grace to fill. This is revelation. This is coming close to the divine without destroying or disabling yourself as a person. This is what enables you to become a translator, a medium for a greater reality to express itself in the world, and for great gifts to be given, even in the simplest and most mundane circumstances. Remember, God is working behind the scenes, reclaiming the separated through knowledge, working through inspired individuals and through meaningful relationships. God does not make a big show. God does not want people to bow down and become slaves, unwillingly, resentfully, with hostility and bitterness. This is not a worldly power we are speaking of. This is not a worldly persuasion. This is not how the personal mind works. It is something different. It is not how world governments work. It is something different. God does not threaten you. God does not tantalize you. God does not seduce you. God is present for you, and you have the opportunity to become present for God. This relationship, however, which is so primary, can never be your sole focus, for God wants your eyes turned to the world where you have come to serve and to work. The more God abides with you as your work progresses and becomes a deeper experience and a greater commitment for you, the more God grows in your experience. Here God becomes more a context than an individual, more a greater experience of relationship than an authority. In this way, God is able to work through you without distracting you. In this way, you are able to work with God without losing your focus in the world. How can it be that something so powerful can work through something so small and validate what is small, honor what is small and redeem what is small? This represents the great genius of knowledge in the universe. This is God. God is great. You are small. The light works through you. It does not blind you. The presence abides with you. It does not overwhelm you. Wisdom can speak through you. It does not obliterate you. You are the emphasis. God is the source. Here your mind and your body need to become vehicles for a greater expression and purpose. To allow this to manifest in specific and mundane ways where it is intended and where it is needed, this is revelation. Revelation, then, is a slow, growing experience of purpose, meaning and direction in life. It will emerge for you if you allow it to be present in your life and do not attempt to use it to gain advantages over other people. It will become the absolute foundation for you. Then, whatever you give in the world will be blessed with a greater experience of presence. Grace will be with you. People will experience this in your presence. Here you will give them something inexplicable that words cannot convey and that actions cannot even demonstrate. This is what will spark knowledge within them, for their response to grace will come from knowledge within them and not from their personal minds. This is an initiation, and this is evidence of God's work in the world. For these people it will be a revelation, but no one will be glorified. No errors in evaluation will be made because no one will claim grandiose powers. There will be no avatars. There will be no saints. Something magical and wonderful will happen between you, something lasting and pervasive, not sudden and romantic. If you think back on your life, perhaps you can recall one or two individuals with whom you had this experience, this abiding sense of presence. Recall how subtle it was but how unique. Recall how you felt in their presence, how there was something unusual about them, something they did not talk about, something they did not declare. There was something unusual about them. There was a presence abiding with them. Perhaps there are no words that can describe this experience, but it can be recalled because it stands out in stark contrast to every other encounter you have had, whether those encounters were pleasurable or not. As God works behind the scenes, revelation occurs behind the scenes. This is done because it works. Then people give themselves. There is no slavery. Then people open themselves, and they claim the results. Then people honor themselves by holding sacred their greater source. Revelation is part of your renewal. It will most likely be very slow and very gradual. You will not experience it every moment. In fact, there may be great gaps of time between your experiences, but these gaps of time will lessen as you advance. Instead of once every 2 years, perhaps it will be once every 6 months, and then once every 3 days. It does not matter because you will proceed. It does not have to happen every moment because you have learned to live without it. However, when it is with you, you graciously open yourself to it, and you know that the presence is with you because there is space in you for the presence to fill. Will revelation happen for you? Become a student of knowledge. Become close to knowledge. Associate with those who are advanced in knowledge. And associate with those who are beginning like you. Forget what you have learned before. Do not think you are advanced already. Be a beginner. Have an open mind. Do not claim advancement. How can you tell if you are advanced? One moment you might feel like you have come oh so far, while the next day you might feel like you are back at the beginning. How can you tell? How can the personal mind understand these things? It can only go along. And as it goes along, it will be changed because a greater power will slowly emerge within you and will give a sense of security to your personal mind which it could never have received from anything else. Then your personal mind will come into service to a greater power within you. In this way, your body will serve your mind, and your mind will serve your spirit, which represents a right relationship. Then you will escape confusion and ambivalence, a great freedom. With this freedom, grace will abide with you. It will be revealed to you because you will have the capacity for it and will be open to it. In silence, in quiet, the grace of God comes to you.